They just changed everything. One Supreme Court decision has redrawn the entire map of US immigration, for families, for enforcement, and for justice itself. If you or someone you love is caught in the system, this is something you absolutely need to hear. This is Imascope, your trusted and reliable source for US immigration news, evolving policies, and crucial visa updates that affect real lives. The Supreme Court has just issued a ruling that could permanently reshape how America enforces immigration law and how families either stay together or face heartbreaking separation. On Decision Day, the US Supreme Court released a 6-3 opinion in a major case that directly tackled one of the most divisive questions in modern immigration debates: who controls enforcement? For years, that single question has haunted lawmakers, advocates, and families. Does the executive branch have the right to decide whom to deport, or must every deportation follow the strictest constitutional rules without exception? This landmark ruling hits directly at that fault line, and it might shift everything we thought we knew about immigration power and limits. At the heart of the case lies a fundamental issue: the government's authority to set enforcement priorities. In reality, that means deciding whether limited resources should target dangerous criminals or sweep in peaceful residents with no criminal history at all. The federal government argued, we have limited resources and must be strategic. Opponents countered, you can prioritize enforcement but not at the expense of constitutional safeguards. The Supreme Court, in a 6-3 decision, sided partly with both, affirming that while the executive branch does have discretion, there are red lines that cannot be crossed. Due process, equal protection, and basic fairness remain untouchable. The ruling establishes a delicate new balance: targeted enforcement combined with constitutional limits. Deportations must now respect procedural rights. You can't remove someone from US soil without fair hearings or proper legal process. Agencies like DHS, ICE, and USCIS may still set priorities, but not in a way that sacrifices due process. Fast-track removals that skip hearings are now legally vulnerable. Discretion is confirmed, but it must exist inside guardrails that preserve justice. This means the government can deprioritize certain low-risk cases, but can't ignore fundamental rights. Who stands to benefit and who might lose out? The winners include long-term residents with clean records, people who have lived, worked, and raised families in the US quietly for years. They now have a stronger legal footing and more opportunity to argue their cases. Families torn apart by rigid enforcement may finally see hope. Fewer low-risk deportations could mean fewer children left without parents. Immigration advocates and attorneys now gain a new tool to challenge unfair or arbitrary removals, but critics warn of new complications: slower enforcement, increased backlogs, and potential confusion about who qualifies as low risk. Courts and agencies will have to adapt, possibly delaying thousands of cases. Ambiguities in defining priorities could spark legal battles and inconsistent outcomes. The ripple effects will reach every corner of the system, from removal proceedings to policy memos. Undocumented individuals now have a stronger argument for full hearings, representation, and appeals. Fast-track removals may face suspension or reversal. ICE and CBP could redirect focus toward high-priority threats such as national security, organized crime, or fraud, while long-term nonviolent residents are treated as lower priorities. This will likely trigger internal training, revised memos, and procedural overhauls. Deferred action programs like DACA, while not directly addressed, gain indirect reinforcement. The court affirmed that executive discretion remains valid if exercised constitutionally. That opens potential for renewed protections or policy expansion, though each change will face close legal scrutiny. Let's look at real-life examples. Maria has lived in the US for 14 years, raising 2 US citizen children and holding no criminal record. Under old enforcement rules, she faced removal. Now, she can argue her case should not be a priority, demanding due process before any deportation. In contrast, Juan, who was arrested for a serious felony, remains in the high priority category. The ruling won't shield him from removal. It simply guarantees him a fair hearing first. These stories illustrate that this decision doesn't protect everyone equally, but it amplifies fairness and gives more people a voice. Short-term changes to expect. Deportations that were previously fast-tracked may now pause. Non-priority cases could be reevaluated. Some prior removal orders might be reopened, though each case will depend on its specific facts. Courts and agencies may temporarily delay delay implementation as they rewrite procedures. Importantly, no one gains legal status automatically. This ruling reshapes process, not status. It doesn't create citizenship, expand visa quotas, or overhaul green card laws. It doesn't end deportations, but redefines how they must be conducted. Congress still controls immigration law. This is not amnesty. It's a structural correction. Challenges ahead include defining enforcement priorities, revising policies, and training staff. Courts already under pressure may face heavier workloads. Some states could resist by pushing for stricter local enforcement. Future administrations might attempt to test or limit this new discretion. For anyone affected, here's how to navigate the change. Stay informed as DHS, ICE, and immigration courts update rules. Keep thorough documentation of your time in the US, employment, and community ties. Never skip hearings. Missing one could destroy your case. Consult only licensed immigration attorneys. Avoid misinformation. If you believe your prior removal was unfair under this new framework, explore reopening your case. Act early, stay engaged, and adapt as the landscape evolves. Big picture, this decision could become a turning point. Congress may feel renewed pressure to act on comprehensive immigration reform that balances enforcement with humanity. Courts will continue defining what priority means in practice. Agencies will adapt their policies. Public debate will intensify, but now with constitutional clarity behind it. Key takeaways. The Supreme Court has reaffirmed executive discretion, but placed it firmly within constitutional guardrails. Deportations must follow due process, not arbitrary enforcement. Longtime residents and low-risk individuals gain stronger legal protections. This does not legalize anyone or change visa limits, but it forces fairness into every enforcement step. The real struggle now moves into agencies, courts, and Congress. If you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for IMAscope, your guide to the future of US immigration. See you in the next video.